The weight of shadow's Nina Ashford had learned to measure her life in small victories, making it through a workday without looking over her shoulder, sleeping 3 consecutive hours without jolting awake, walking to her car without her heart hammering against her ribs. These tiny triumphs had become her currency of survival over the past 18 months. The Grand Haven Hotel sprawled across downtown Seattle's waterfront like a glass and steel fortress. Nina had worked there for 4 months as a graphic designer in the marketing department, creating promotional materials and managing the hotel's visual brand. It was quiet work, invisible work, and that was exactly what she needed. Invisibility had become her superpower. When the past refuses to stay buried for a day, afternoon sunlight streamed through the lobby's massive windows as Nina crossed toward the staff corridor. She clutched her laptop bag against her chest, mentally reviewing her weekend plans. Stay inside her apartment, order groceries for delivery, maybe finally finish that novel she had started 3 months ago. Simple plans, safe plans. Then she heard the voice that turned her blood to ice. Nina. Her feet stopped moving before her brain could process the command to run. She knew that voice. It had whispered sweet words in the beginning, then threats in the end. Troy Bennett stood near the concierge desk, his athletic frame dressed in expensive casual wear that made him blend perfectly with the hotel's wealthy clientele. Their eyes met across 30 feet of polished marble floor. His expression shifted from practiced charm to something darker, something possessive. Nina recognized that look. She had seen it the night she finally left him. The night he had thrown her phone against the wall and told her she belonged to him. That she always would. The chase begins. Nina's survival instincts kicked in with crystal clarity. She pivoted toward the staff corridor and walked quickly, not running yet, not drawing attention. Behind her, she heard Troy's footsteps matching her pace. Her hands trembled as she pushed through the employee door. The corridor stretched before her, fluorescent lights humming overhead. She broke into a run, her sneakers squeaking against the linoleum floor. Behind her, the door crashed open. Troy's voice echoed through the hallway. "You cannot keep avoiding me, Nina. We need to talk. I have changed. I have been seeing a therapist." The same words he had used in Seattle, the same promises he had made in Portland before that. Nina knew his script by heart. The apologies, the tears, the explanations about his childhood trauma, his abandonment issues, his deep love for her. Then the anger when she did not respond the way he wanted. She reached the service elevator and slammed her palm against the call button repeatedly. The display showed the elevator was on the 15th floor, descending. "Come on, come on, come on. I moved here to be close to you," Troy called out, his voice carrying an edge of frustration. "I sold my condo in San Francisco. I left my job. Does not that prove how much you mean to me?" Nina's hands shook violently. That was not love. That was obsession. Her therapist had explained the difference during their video sessions, had helped her understand that Troy's behavior was not her fault, that his inability to accept boundaries was his problem, not hers. The elevator chimed. The doors began to slide open. Nina threw herself forward into the small space before they fully separated. She collided with something solid and stumbled backward. A man stood in the elevator, tall and composed, with dark hair and eyes the color of storm clouds. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Nina's monthly rent. For a split second, they stared at each other in mutual surprise. Fate intervened. Troy appeared in the corridor, his hands shooting forward to block the closing doors. The stranger moved with surprising speed, stepping between Nina and the opening. His presence filled the elevator with an unexpected sense of authority. He pressed the close button with steady fingers while maintaining eye contact with Troy. Something passed between the two men in that moment. A wordless exchange of understanding and warning. The elevator doors sealed shut with a decisive click, leaving Troy's angry face visible through the narrowing gap until the metal panels met completely. Nina pressed herself against the back wall, gasping for air. Her entire body shook with adrenaline. The elevator began ascending smoothly, the soft hum of machinery the only sound. The stranger pulled out his phone and spoke calmly. "Helen, this is Damian Cross. We have a security situation. I need footage from the main lobby and staff corridor for the past 20 minutes. There is also a man who just attempted to force entry into elevator 6. Please detain him for questioning and call the police. He ended the call and turned his attention to Nina. His expression softened considerably. Are you injured? Nina shook her head, unable to form words. Her throat felt like someone had wrapped a fist around it. The man who was chasing you, Damien said carefully. Former partner. Nina managed a small nod. How long has this been happening? 18 months, Nina whispered. I keep moving cities. He keeps finding me. Trapped between fear and happy. The elevator suddenly jerked to a stop. The lights flickered once, twice, then dimmed to emergency backup power. A mechanical groan echoed through the shaft. Nina's breath caught in her chest. No, not this. The small space seemed to shrink around her. Her vision began to blur at the edges. Panic clawed at her throat. Look at me, Damien said, his voice cutting through her spiraling thoughts with surprising gentleness. My name is Damien Cross. This elevator will not fall. The emergency system has engaged automatically. We are completely safe. Nina focused on his face, on the steady calm in his grey eyes. He did not look afraid. He did not look annoyed. He looked concerned, but controlled. Breathe with me, Damien instructed. In 4-4 counts. Hold 4-4. Out 4-4. Can you do that? She tried to follow his rhythm. Slowly, her lungs began to cooperate. The crushing pressure around her chest eased incrementally. That is it, Damien encouraged. You are doing great. What is your name? Nina, she managed. Nina Ashford. Nina. He tested the name, as if committing it to memory. I am the owner of this hotel. When these doors open, you will not be alone. You will not be unprotected. I promise you that. Nina stared at him, confusion cutting through her fear. You do not even know me. I know fear when I see it, Damien replied, his jaw tightening. I know what it looks like when someone is being hunted, and I know that nobody should have to live like that. A promise made. The elevator hummed, preparing to restart. Damien extended his hand toward her, not to pull her closer, but to offer support if she needed it. When we reach the top floor, I am taking you somewhere safe, somewhere he cannot follow. Will you trust me? Nina looked at his outstretched hand. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse, to run the moment those doors opened, to handle this alone like she had been handling everything alone for 18 months. But something in Damien Cross's voice, something in the unwavering certainty of his promise, made her believe that maybe safety was not just a fantasy she told herself at night. Yes, Nina whispered, placing her hand in his. I trust you. The elevator jolted back to life and continued its ascent. Nina held onto Damien's hand as they climbed toward whatever future waited above. For the first time in 18 months, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope, a different kind of rescue. The elevator doors opened onto the 26th floor with a gentle chime. Damien Cross stepped out first, his hands still holding Nina's, his eyes scanning the corridor with practiced vigilance. The hallway was empty, decorated in sophisticated neutrals with artwork that probably cost more than Nina had earned in her entire life. He led her to a set of sleek double doors at the corridor's end. A discreet palm scanner glowed blue as he pressed his hand against it. The doors unlocked with a soft mechanical whisper. The penthouse suite beyond took Nina's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased Seattle's skyline, the city spreading below them like a living canvas of steel and glass and possibility. Please sit anywhere you feel comfortable, Damien said, guiding her toward a cream-colored sofa that looked both expensive and inviting. I need to make a few calls. Would you like water, tea, coffee? Water would be good, Nina replied, her voice steadier now. She lowered herself onto the sofa's edge, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Damien poured water from a crystal pitcher into a glass and brought it to her before moving to the telephone. His conversation was brief and efficient. Helen, I need you in the penthouse immediately. Also contact James Mackenzie. Tell him I need to see him within the hour. This is priority. He ended the call and sat in the chair facing Nina, maintaining enough distance to avoid overwhelming her. Tell me about Troy Bennett. The story unfolds. Nina took a sip of water, organizing 3 years of chaos into coherent sentences. We met at a design conference in Portland. He was presenting on venture capital trends in creative industries. I was there showcasing my portfolio. He seemed confident, successful, interesting. He asked me to dinner, and I said yes. Damien listened without interruption, his expression neutral, but his eyes sharp with understanding. The first 6 months were amazing, Nina continued, her fingers tracing the rim of the glass. He remembered everything I told him. He sent flowers to my office. He planned elaborate dates. My friends said I was lucky. I believed them. She paused, swallowing hard. Then things changed. He started showing up at my apartment unannounced. He wanted access to my phone, my email, my social media accounts. He said it was because he loved me so much, because he wanted to be close to me. When I said I needed some space, he would have panic attacks. He would cry and tell me about his childhood, about how his parents abandoned him, about how I was the only person who ever truly understood him. Classic manipulation, Damien said quietly, making you responsible for his emotional state. Exactly. Nina felt tears prick her eyes. I tried to be patient. I thought if I was just more understanding, more supportive, he would get better. But he did not get better. He got worse. Building protection. A knock at the door interrupted them. Damien rose and admitted a woman in her 50s, wearing a professional grey suit. She had intelligent eyes and an air of calm competence. Helen, thank you for coming quickly, Damien said. This is Nina Ashford. She's under my personal protection. I need you to coordinate with building security. Helen's expression shifted to immediate concern. Of course. What do we need? There is a man named Troy Bennett currently detained downstairs. He has been stalking Miss Ashford across multiple states for 18 months. I want him removed from the premises and permanently banned. I also want all security footage from today preserved and copied for legal proceedings. Nina's eyes widened. Legal proceedings. I tried getting a restraining order in Portland. The police said there was not enough evidence. That was before you had resources, Damien replied, turning back to her. Helen, please also ensure Miss Ashford's employment file is flagged with security protocols. Nobody shares information about her with anyone, regardless of the story they tell. Helen made notes on her tablet. Consider it done. Miss Ashford, if you need anything at all, please do not hesitate to ask. You are safe here. After Helen left, Nina stood and walked to the windows. She wrapped her arms around herself. I do not understand why you are doing this. You do not owe me anything. Damien joined her at the window, standing a respectful distance away. 5 years ago, my younger sister Claire was in a relationship with someone who became controlling. I did not realize how serious it was until she showed up at my door one night, terrified and bruised. She had been hiding it from the family for months. Thinking she could handle it alone, Nina turned to look at him, seeing pain etched in the lines around his eyes. I got her the best lawyers, the best therapists, the best security, Damien continued, but I was too late to prevent the damage. She still struggles with anxiety and trust issues. She moved to London 2 years ago, partly to start fresh, partly to escape the memories. I failed to protect her when it mattered most. I will not fail again when I have the power to help. His honesty struck something deep in Nina's chest. I am sorry about Claire. Do not apologize for other people's cruelty, Damien said firmly. What happened to Claire was not her fault. What is happening to you is not your fault. Troy Bennett made choices. He continues to make choices. Now we make choices that protect you. The attorney Arivisanitha Nock announced the arrival of a distinguished man in his 60s, carrying a leather briefcase. He had silver hair and sharp, assessing eyes. This had to be James Mackenzie. Damien. Helen briefed me on the situation, James said, shaking Nina's hand with professional warmth. Miss Ashford, I have been practicing family and criminal law for 30 years. We are going to build you the strongest possible case. For the next hour, Nina recounted her entire history with Troy. James took meticulous notes, asked clarifying questions, and never once made her feel judged or doubted. Damien remained present throughout, a steady anchor that made the retelling easier. "We have enough for an emergency restraining order," James finally declared. "I will file the paperwork this afternoon. We also have grounds for criminal stalking charges. The pattern of behavior across multiple states gives us federal jurisdiction options. What happens to Troy now?" Nina asked. "Building securities releasing him with a formal trespass warning." Damien explained. "If he sets foot on hotel property again, he will be arrested immediately. Detective Rachel Torres from the Seattle Police Department will take your formal statement tomorrow. She specializes in stalking cases." Nina nodded, feeling both exhausted and strangely hopeful. A new beginning after James left. Damien turned to her with gentle concern. "You need rest. This suite has 3 bedrooms. Choose whichever feels most comfortable. I will be in the study making arrangements. You are welcome to stay here as long as you need. I cannot impose on you like that." Nina protested weakly. "You are not imposing. I am offering." Damien's tone left no room for argument. "Tomorrow we will figure out longer-term solutions. Tonight you sleep somewhere safe." Nina felt tears spill down her cheeks, the emotional dam finally breaking. "Thank you. I do not know how to repay you." Damien stepped closer and handed her a tissue from the side table. "You do not repay kindness, Nina. You accept it, and then offer it to someone else when you can. That is how the world becomes better." She wiped her eyes, managing a small smile. "Your sister is lucky to have you." "I hope she thinks so," Damien replied with a hint of warmth. "Now go rest. Tomorrow begins your new life, one where you do not run anymore." Seeds of connection as Nina moved toward one of the bedrooms. She glanced back at Damien standing by the windows, silhouetted against the city lights. He was not like any man she had ever met. There was strength in him, but also gentleness, authority, but also respect. He had power, but used it to protect rather than control. For the first time in 18 months, Nina felt something shift inside her. Not just hope or relief, but something deeper. A recognition that perhaps not all men were like Troy. That perhaps safety and connection could coexist. That perhaps she could learn to trust again. She entered the bedroom and found it decorated in soft blues and greys. A note sat on the nightstand in elegant handwriting. "Sleep well. The world can wait. You are safe now, Damien." Nina changed into the comfortable pajamas she found laid out on the bed, courtesy of someone's thoughtful planning. She slipped under the covers and turned off the light. For the first time in longer than she could remember, the darkness did not feel threatening. It felt peaceful. As sleep claimed her, Nina's last thought was of grey eyes and a steady voice promising protection. She had run into that elevator expecting to find another dead end. Instead, she had found someone who saw her fear and chose to stand between her and the darkness. Maybe fate had a plan after all. Maybe this was where her running stopped and her healing began. Maybe Damien Cross was not her savior, as her partner in reclaiming the life Troy had tried to steal. The night wrapped around her like a gentle embrace, and Nina slept without nightmares for the first time in 18 months. Morning light, a new possibility signal, filtered through the penthouse windows, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. Nina woke slowly, disoriented by the softness of the bed and the absence of the familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memory returned in gentle waves, rather than crushing tides. She sat up and noticed a steaming cup of tea on the nightstand with a folded note. The handwriting was becoming familiar. "Good morning, Nina. Tea's chamomile with honey. Fresh clothes are in the closet. Take your time. The world can wait." Damien. Double quotes. Nina picked up the teacup, warmth spreading through her fingers. Nobody had brought her tea in bed since her grandmother passed away 7 years ago. The simple gesture made her throat tighten with unexpected emotion. She sipped slowly, tasting kindness in every drop. After showering and dressing in the comfortable jeans and sweater someone had procured in her exact size, Nina ventured into the main living area. Classical music drifted from somewhere deeper in the suite. She followed the melody to a spacious study where Damien sat at a desk. reading through documents with focused intensity. He looked up when she entered, and something in his expression softened. "You slept well, I hope. Better than I have in months," Nina admitted, stepping further into the room. "Thank you for the tea and the clothes and everything." Damien set aside his papers. "James called an hour ago. Judge Morrison signed the emergency restraining order. Troy Bennett cannot come within 500 feet of you. He cannot contact you directly or indirectly through any means. If he violates it, he goes to jail immediately." Building a foundation, Nina sank into the chair across from his desk, relief flooding through her. "Just like that. Just like that," Damien confirmed. "Detective Torres will be here at noon to take your formal statement. She specializes in cases like yours and has an excellent track record of securing convictions." Nina nodded, processing the information. For 18 months, she had felt powerless. Now, in less than 24 hours, everything had changed. "Have you eaten breakfast?" Damien asked, shifting topics. "I ordered too much food as usual. The dining room is overwhelmed with pastries." "Despite everything," Nina smiled. "That sounds perfect." They moved to the dining area, where an impressive spread waited. Croissants, fresh fruit, scrambled eggs, smoked salmon, and an array of juices and coffee. Nina realized she was genuinely hungry for the first time in days. They ate in comfortable silence, the kind that felt peaceful rather than awkward. Nina found herself watching Damien, noticing details she had missed in yesterday's chaos. The way he listened with complete attention when she spoke, the thoughtful pause before he answered questions, the absence of any expectation or demand in his presence. "Can I ask you something?" Nina said, setting down her coffee cup. "Anything. Why do you use the service elevator? You own this hotel. You could use any elevator you want." Damien paused, considering his answer carefully. "After Claire's situation, I became aware of how much violence happens in plain sight, how many people suffer while crowds walk past them. The service areas of buildings, the back corridors, the places where staff move through their days, those are the spaces where people like you encounter people like Troy without witnesses. I started using service elevators because I wanted to be present in those spaces, to see what others miss. You position yourself where you might be needed," Nina said, understanding dawning. "That is why you were there yesterday. Chance favors the prepared," Damien replied. "Though I never imagined I would meet someone who would matter so much." The words hung in the air between them, carrying weight neither was quite ready to examine. Nina felt heat rise to her cheeks. She looked away, focusing on her plate. "A new purpose. I spoke with hotel management this morning," Damien continued, his tone returning to practical matters. "Your job is secure and they understand you need time off. When you are ready to return, security protocols will be in place. But Nina, I want you to consider something else." She looked up, curious. "I have a foundation that works with survivors of domestic violence and stalking. We provide legal support, housing assistance, job training, and counseling. I would like to offer you a position as a client services coordinator. You understand what these people face because you have lived it. Your perspective would be invaluable." Nina stared at him, stunned. "You want to hire me? I want to give you options," Damien said earnestly. "You can return to the hotel, if that feels right. Or you can try something new. Something that transforms your experience into purpose. No pressure, just possibility." Before Nina could respond, the intercom buzzed. Detective Rachel Torres had arrived. Justice Takes Shape. Detective Torres was a woman in her late 30s, with compassionate eyes and an air of competent professionalism. She spent 2 hours taking Nina's statement with patient thoroughness, asking detailed questions, and never once making Nina feel like she was exaggerating. "This is one of the clearest stalking cases I have seen," Detective Torres said when they finished. "Combined with Mr. Cross's security footage and the physical evidence, we have everything needed. The district attorney will file charges within 48 hours. What happens then?" Nina asked. "Troy Bennett will be arrested and arraigned. Given the restraining order and the stalking charges across multiple states, he will likely be held without bail. We are also investigating whether federal charges apply since he followed you across state lines. Nina felt tears sting her eyes, but they were tears of relief. Thank you for believing me. Detective Torres reached across and squeezed her hand. I believe every survivor who walks through my door. You did nothing wrong, Miss Ashford. Remember that. Growing connection over the following weeks, Nina settled into a new rhythm. She accepted Damien's job offer and began working at the foundation, finding deep purpose in helping others navigate the same darkness she had endured. She moved into a secure apartment building with modern security systems. Damien helped her furnish it, never overstepping, but always present when she needed support. They had dinner together twice a week. Conversations flowed easily between them. They discovered shared interests in art and classical music. They walked through Pike Place Market on Saturday mornings. They visited the Seattle Art Museum and debated interpretations of abstract paintings. Slowly, carefully, something real grew between them. Troy was arrested and charged with multiple counts of stalking across 3 states. His lawyer indicated he would plead guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence. The nightmare was ending, and Nina could finally breathe. A declaration 3 months after that fateful elevator encounter. Nina and Damien stood together on the penthouse balcony, watching the sunset paint Seattle in shades of pink and orange. The city spread below them, alive with possibility. I got an email from Claire today, Damien said. She's doing well in London. She asked about you. Nina smiled. What did you tell her? That you are remarkable. That you took your pain and transformed it into purpose. That you inspire me every day to be better. Nina turned to face him fully. Damien Cross, you are a good man. Not because of your money or your resources. Because of your heart. He reached out and gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch careful and respectful. Nina, I need to tell you something. I have been holding back because I did not want to pressure you, but I cannot keep pretending that what I feel is just friendship. Her breath caught. Damien, you crashed into my elevator terrified and desperate, and something happened that I did not expect. I saw your courage, not the absence of fear, but the choice to keep fighting despite it. I saw your strength and your resilience. I am drawn to you, Nina, not because I helped you, but because of who you are. Nina felt her heart racing. Part of her wanted to step back, to protect herself. But another part, the part that had survived 18 months of fear and kept fighting anyway, recognized something true in Damien. I feel it too, she whispered. That connection. It scares me, but I feel it. Then we take it at your pace, Damien said gently. No pressure, no expectations, just honesty and respect. The kiss that holds Nina looked into his grey eyes and saw only sincerity. She thought about the past 3 months, about how Damien had never once tried to control her choices, how he listened when she spoke, how he respected her boundaries, how he made her feel safe without making her feel weak. May I kiss you? Damien asked softly. Her answer came without hesitation. Yes. The kiss was tender and careful, full of promise rather than demand. It tasted like new beginnings and healed wounds. When they pulled apart, Nina rested her forehead against his, feeling complete in a way she had never experienced. Thank you for being patient with me, she whispered. Thank you for being brave enough to trust again, Damien replied. You could have let fear win. You chose hope instead. A future built together for us. The last light faded from the sky. They stood together, to people who had found each other in the most unexpected way. Nina had run into an elevator to escape her past, only to discover her future waiting inside. 6 months later, Nina stood in front of a room full of survivors at the Foundation's monthly support group. She told her story with confidence and compassion, offering hope to others still trapped in their own nightmares. Damien watched from the back of the room, pride evident in his expression. After the meeting, they walked hand in hand to his car. Dinner at our place, Damien asked. Their place. Nina loved the sound of that. Perfect, she replied. They had moved in together 2 months ago, taking that step carefully and intentionally. Nina had her own space within their shared apartment. Boundaries were respected. Communication was constant. love grew daily. Troy was serving a 3-year sentence in federal prison. The restraining order would remain in effect for 10 years after his release. Nina no longer feared him. She had reclaimed her power. As they drove through Seattle's evening streets, Nina reflected on how much had changed. She was no longer running. She had found her purpose, her voice, and her strength. She had found love that healed rather than harmed. The elevator that had once felt like a trap had become her gateway to freedom. And the mysterious billionaire inside had become not her savior, but her partner in creating a life worth living. Nina Ashford was no longer defined by her past. She was building her future, one brave choice at a time, and that future included a man who saw her worth, respected her strength, and loved her with patience and genuine care. She was home, not in a place, but in a feeling, in the knowledge that she deserved safety, respect, and love, in the certainty that she would never run again, because she had finally found someone worth standing still with.